it's very good right now. They have a lot to loot, and they have a lot of the jungle available around them to have some of that, you know, spread out sparse loot on the map.
Yeah, and one of the things about fighting within these pyramid structures, building's weird. Going outside the building to build on the pyramid itself is weird. Mats are kind of scarce, right? Even with the bonus farm format, you know, when you hit stuff during in these arena settings, yeah, you gain a little more material, but you don't really gain much from these stone structures. So battling here in early game is a scary thing, especially if you don't get the loadout of choice. So for them to have it clear as day right here, it's pretty nice.
Very dope advantage. You can see kind of pushing off into mid game. One big thing about having free early POIs as well, we talked about it earlier, options. They have so many options of what they want their actual loadout to look like. A lot of the time if a fight happens, you don't get to see a lot of the loot early. You kind of have to move on because zone's catching up. Right now, they basically have an entire buffet available, and they get to pick every single thing they want to eat. It's amazing. We have stinks, medkits, minis available. Now tuning in to H-Man up in Greasy Grove. Big elims coming through, 2 back-to-back, setting these guys up. No Taco time to stop the mid-game fight either. These guys are going to be moving through, have all the shield available, and the whole POI free.
Yeah, just like that. You wrap that team up real quick. You saw a little bit of taunting coming out there from H-Man. You know, Dampton, a little premature before the Taco time. It's okay. He's got to get his groove on somewhere or another. He's probably going to make it to his Instagram before the day's up. Here, let's take a look at the loadouts. The loadout's pretty rough. Just a shotgun, couple shields. Okay. We'll be able to grab some of the Spores of War here. And now we're talking. Now he's looking like a real Fortnite gamer here. He's got something to work with here in the game today. Opting to farm up this metal. It's very nice. Going to set him up for success.
Yeah, it was a super early game fight. You see the contrast of the actual loadout at the same time, right? We have full fleshed out loadouts all the way at Sunny, and now in Greasy we have people just starting up. The big thing about having Greasy free as well is the farm rate and everything around that too. You have everything set up for you, the momentum's there, you're always comfortable, and it's a very easy way to kind of segment and know exactly when and what to build. You're never worried about missing anything mid-game.
And also remember, ladies and gentlemen, Storm Surge is active, so honestly, you kind of want players to land on you at your POI. I know in a perfect world, you beat Storm Surge and you get a whole zone to yourself, but in the real world, in the real Fortnite world, usually doesn't really work out like that. You want those free picks, those early picks. You want your enemies to, you know, botch their landing, not get the shotgun, pump them, catch them easy freebies. So getting those early game fights can be beneficial, especially if you know, master your craft. I think early game is one of the hardest, you know, times, or one of the hardest Fortnite things to master, really, I should say. And a lot of teams struggle. So there are some players that can pop off in a lot of situations, but they can't really get their gears rolling. And they tend to struggle in early game.
Yeah, with few mats available early, since you don't obviously farm out unless you find a llama, and so many spots and natural cover to move around, it's very unpredictable, right? And the top player's worst nightmare is kind of being in a fight in an unpredictable scenario. You have to kind of react to what's on your screen. If you have more than one person focusing you down, that's even worse for you, right? You're always back against the wall. You want to have everything available for you. You want to have some room. So 100% I agree. Early game is something that's very hard to perfect and very hard to kind of prep for when you're playing in the game. It usually just gets thrown onto you.
And these guys are using all this retail row kind of extra loot to really capitalize and find the perfect loadout. So Yonks is going to get a big upgrade right there. Going from a great tactical shotgun up to a legendary shotgun, legendary tactical. We've seen multiple players, even that, you know, rare European game one we got to catch. And I'll call it rare because you guys know the issues that kind of unfolded today. We saw players, pro players, taking the gold tack over the blue pump, even when it needed most. Players needed it the most, right? You needed that one pump. People were still opting to rock out with the gold tack.
Yeah, the meta for a lot of players and the way they play and take peaks, they use the combat for so much time of the season. They're used to having more bullets to send through. They're used to having, you know,
the fire rate.
Yeah, the fire rate as well, right? It's just the biggest thing they're not used to and they have to kind of adjust to is the pull-out time of that gold and purple pack, because it is slower than all the other shotguns available right now in the loot pool.
Here's Zanzis. So they're going to use hoverboards to get away from the trio that's to the left, or maybe they didn't even realize they're actually firing off in the distance there. So little do they know, someone is already up close and personal, but there it is. The sound cue is given off, and he's actually spotted by Zephyr, who's got the perfect pinch on this player, and Zanzis, who's got the nice range as well with the explodes here. Shield Bubble is going to isolate this player from Zephyr, and Zephyr loses the 1v1.
Shield Bubble absolutely isolates. The big thing about this side of the map too is how spread out and isolated you are from the get-go. So much of a split is going on just for looting purposes that when a fight starts, you have to act quick to get back to your team. Fast builds from Zanzas though, shockwaves coming through, still a block off, the tack shots not missing a single one out of 8 in his clip. Zanzas is on point right now. Metal's not going to stop his beam from coming through into your box. A two-way split on pressure on the box as well. I hear a minigun in there too, Monster. This is insane.
It's going down right now. He's not missing any shots. Happy that you noted that because there's knock players everywhere. Wisa goes down. Normally when it's me and I got a tack shotgun, I have a million excuses to figure out why I'm not, landing or damaging. But it doesn't matter. Zanz has shown that you can hit your shots, you're gonna win your fights. And that's exactly how this battle has turned around because Zephyr was the first to get traded out. So as a 2v3 situation, they're doing so good. Invoke's gonna fall down now as well, which means that last player is very weak because Zanz has already got 2 knocks here. So let's see how he goes to execute and kind of seal the deal here. So he walks right around and there he goes, catches Invoke.
Absolutely no hesitation at all to use any type of utility. Not a certain pattern we usually see. People are more safe and scarce with what they want to use in a fight, especially this early. Mid-game, I understand, throw your 6 stinks. But this, Sans has just used, I think, upwards of his entire rocket clip with what the GL came with as well. And the minigun ammo, no care for it at all. I think we just dropped down from like 600 to 200.
Hey,
Still reaping the benefits.
You know what they say? If you can't take it with you back to the lobby, so you might as well throw it out there because the worst thing is to get taken out of a game and be like, man, I still had those splashes. I knew I should have padded right there, right? Or, kind of have those regrets. So, good on them to kind of throw it all at the wall when it mattered because their teammate got taken out first. Zephyr lost. So you might as well throw everything to really take the tide and take take the bull by the horns in that situation, I should say. But taking a look at the other side of the map, we have Eska, Toggle, Sigol on the run here from a team behind them. They put some pressure on squads kind of floating around, launch padding above.
Yeah, when the zone gets pulled down from this angle, from on the entire map, this bone spot, the whole Sakura flower field, is a very interesting place where a lot of trios actually converge. A lot of the POIs on that side of the map usually don't waste too much time actually getting bricked from, but if you have that mentality because you just want to go and farm the teeth, every other trio has that mentality as well. There's so much brick available, as you can see, on the lake, on the actual rock behind you guys, the whole skull. But the big issue is if every trio is thinking that way, this is what ends up happening. A huge fight that blows out, stinks being thrown, a lot of utility being used, including defensive utility like campfires and bubble shields, will have a lot of engagements that you probably don't want to take just because you're on the same page as some other trios in the early game.
And those are some amazing stinks right there to really put the pressure on these players down here. But there's someone in Tilted Town who's actually firing back. There's another squad on the mountain just to the side of that as well. So suddenly what looked like a free push and a free takeout on this squad here in the river, it's now turned into a really odd situation because they're surrounded by multiple players. RSG Spirit tries to skate away there on the hoverboard. He's going to get picked off immediately by this trio right now. And they say, you know what? We caught a freebie over here. Let's go back. Let's get that loot and forget these guys on the river. They'll live to see another day for now.
Yeah, big cost to their resources, though. A lot of, I think, would ultimately just expend it to push that fight. Easily farmable up once again, but we did see so many trios rotating through here. Will there actually be much left at the moment, or will they have to get it on the fly moving forward as well? These guys seem to not stop. It just toggles on 24/7. Fights are on all the time. Not sure why there's just, it's a 2-box kind of defensive base right now, but the less boxes you have, the more opportunity for a big pop-off moment. Spirit getting released all the way to that knockdown state. It's a box wall-to-wall fight right now. It's going to be that 50-50 engagement. Big Elim coming out of Toggle.
You gotta show some respect for Toggle shots right there, flicking at the light and the slightest pixel that moved in front of him. He did not miss a shot, hitting 3 flush pump shots right there, and a flawless edit as well on the player that was just picked up. So Spirit got knocked, he got saved, he got put right back down to the dirt, and then Toggle follows up with the other. Now hopping on over to Shifty Shafts. Looks like we have, so we saw Sid dig, we saw MSI dig, and Rampage have a great last game. They're just outside of the Shifty here, and there's another trio nearby.
Amazing. We're going to be looking at Shifty now, one big place to actually get refarmable mats in. The biggest part about this, we talked about the whole skull earlier for Brick. a lot of teams do rotate the shifty for that metal, as once again, on this kind of middle side of the map, especially coming out of Tilted Town, yes, you have an increased plethora of mats available from chests, but to knock off and top off all your metal, you do have to rotate and find a lot with other trios as well. So a dope pattern we're seeing in this mid game is a lot of Middle Eastern trios on the same page, moving forward, backwards, and all around the map, knowing the exact power, POI, and farm spots mid game as well, as we see a care package coming down from the top.
That's right, and ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It's Shio Wager, Monster D-Face. We're looking at the Middle East region. We're taking a look at these heats, these games that are unfolding here. A region that we have not covered much of. This is actually, if anything, their debut to the Fortnite main stage here. So to see these players performing under pressure right now, we're looking at our future stars, future names that will show up for the next World Cup for all we know, right?
Yeah, the scene can only develop more and more and more. They can only review more and play more, which means they'll only get better, and we'll see even greater and bigger things. One big thing I've been seeing these guys utilize mid-game and very early on as well, I want to ask you a question, Monster. What do you think about the uses of shield bubbles mid and end game? When should they be used? How do you manage just having two in an inventory?
Yeah, from what I've seen, the shield bubble is obviously one of the most, effective tools to canceling out fire coming in on you when you become the focus point of a server. But more importantly, the perfect way to isolate a team when you decide, hey, we want to pounce on this target as well, so that no one can kind of interrupt or interfere with your battle as well. So the shield bubble is just such a flexible item, and there is no perfect time to use it, because we've seen it used to also just like clog up lanes for fire, right? Or the way these guys have come up with these innovative methods to stick it to yourself when you're on a bush or in a vehicle per se. So the shield bubble has been a great addition to Fortnite. It makes me miss, honestly, the flint knock, because the flint knock is another great addition, right?
Yeah, it's a versatile item that you can use offensively and defensively at a click of a button, right? The instant actual effect comes there. At the moment now, still more disrespect and momentum. Rampage is causing a scene in every single fight he's a part of. It's great that these guys have such a good spirit when they're playing the game. They're always on point. It seems like they're just having a lot of fun playing these matches, even though we can't hear the comms.
Yeah, I mean, Rampage is really cranking right here. He got that quick knock, and came right back up to high ground, and they're just suddenly resetting for the battle here. But someone's going to get dropped. It's Dig who fell behind, and now this trio is on their back foot here, as someone is looking to dive on them. We're not quite sure who it is that's pressuring them right now, but the fire is coming in from all types of ways. Out comes the poison. Okay, so it's VND and their crew up top on the high ground, really just putting pressure in. Storm keeping them out here. They do manage to get that revive off, and that's one of the perks of trio, right? Trio competitions. One player can save, one can play defense, and we see this executed time and time again. It's not like that in any other game mode, only in trios.
There's so many things as well as just being part of trios. You got that whole 5 more items you can carry as well. You have a whole new role. I remember Bala saying that, when chunk splashes were being introduced and trios were like a concept game mode, you could have just a role of an actual healer in the game. And we see that, the clutch player is usually the one that carries the shockwaves and the RPGs. The support player is usually the one carrying those long-range chunk splashes, the brute force kind of pick-me-up items of the trio, whether it's med kits or extra shields. So it's dope to see that when you have more player slots available, you can dive deep into these roles in your trio.
All right, so this trio here, sitting on the riverbed in a really odd spot. You never want to be in this low ground underneath the mountain at the mercy of all the teams around you. They do have a launch pad, though, and they have a long rotation to make here, so looks like they say, you know what, if we go in the air, we're probably going to get hit out the sky. Let's try our best, right? Go on foot. Try our luck here. They attempted a freebie rotation, and Dig gets punished with a big sniper shot that's okay. He's going to be able to heal up and bounce back. And it was worth it, I guess. They got close enough. They made it to the zone. They didn't really expend all their materials, right? The best of the best teams know how to rotate for free, if you want to call it that, and take the risk to get to where they need to be without wasting material.
Yep, one thing, the kind of relationship towards mid-game and end-game rotations in terms of the resources you have, I think, are materials versus shields.
Yeah.
So if you have more shields, you can take the risk to take and get shots to your HP pool to save those mats, drink those shields up, and then just go for siphon endgame, because it's a lot easier to get it there than to do a big mid-game fight. And me saying that, though,
look at this setup. Look at this setup.
Like
Rampage goes underneath their build there, looking for the knockdown to see if they can, sweep someone out from underneath their base. They just are not slowing down the momentum from one place to another. They're bringing the battle to anyone nearby. They're hungry to capitalize on the resources and materials here. That was a heavy snipe right there. We have two players holding down the turbo build, trying to see if they can, you know, keep control of the wall there. Dig makes the reload on the heavy snipe, so any bust, he can make any wall bust that he wants right now. There it is, he opens up another, takes that one right there, makes a quick edit. Can he connect with the shot? He does, he catches one player, but eats a explode from a grenade launcher from somewhere nearby.
The Siphon comes in though, keeping him healthy. He's gonna keep going forward. One decision he made there is not to put that stair in, but to get the damage off first, which proved good for him. At the same time, he did take a shotgun shot back, as well as an explosive, since he didn't own the stair, and it did get edited the moment that smoke came in. Now we're switching back over to defense. They did get a few mats off that Siphon, his teammates at least. Now he has enough time to actually take over this whole base. They fill up their loaded slots as well with more things such as shockwaves and a minigun potentially if they want to take it through as well. And they'll top off on the shields they used when they actually rotated in, using them instead of the mask. We talked about that earlier as well.
Yeah, now looking to retreat back to the metal carcass that he left behind. Remember, metal takes, you know, multiple shots of explodes to kind of break open. They actually find a trio nearby. It's going to be a huge pump shot from 104 now, and they're using the side pinch here. And no, another team comes through. He's going to hit the big pump. He's not missing, but it's just not enough to close the deal here. Rampage is left by himself, but I'm sure the comms are, you know, giving out. They're weak. They're definitely weak. Let's see if Rampage can pull it together here. He has 13 minis in the loadout here, and he is going to find, yeah, there it is. He's got to switch up the loadout here just a bit. Can he get his heals off, though? Can he get the medium bullets? No, he's actually only has 5 mediums in the legendary, or in the epic AR here.
Yeah, one thing I was going to notice, even if he does survive, what can he actually do? He kind of just has to stay in boxes, zone to zone, shockwave, and hope to get into someone's box or wreck another trio's game to get back in and online. Because right now, I'm counting him completely out of the running against all these big other trios. You see Namfu right above him and VND below him as well.
That was a worst case scenario too. When you hear that team chug splash going off, and you're like, ooh, that was ours. They caught our boy. They're using our resource. They're all healthy now. You know they're healthy. So that's not a battle you can take. So the VND boys managed to topple the team right there, the Rampage crew, and now make a big rotation here, and they get away with it. They get away with a beautiful launch pad, leading them right into this Storm Wave 6, where we'll get our first moving zone. So we have a nice little stink grenade right there. It's gonna put some pressure up, but this trio is so split now.
Now, one thing, the big note as well, is that these guys are on point with using the proper mats at the proper times. At the moment, they're boxed up before a moving zone. This is where you want no interruptions on your game plan. You don't want your base to get shaken. You don't want any disturbances possible. So you're using those hard mats to make sure you're not focused. Because no one's gonna pop in 3 AR mags of a SCAR to break open exactly where your box is, right? So this is very smart for them to just kind of have a little bit of premeditated planning, then using wood later on. They're almost topped up on every mat as well, which is very, very smart from these VND boys. As you said, you know, we talked about it earlier, I love having rainbow loadouts. And right now they have every color on the spectrum available: shockwaves, miniguns, the silent SCAR, and a bunch of heals to get split over. The very cool thing Hater did right there is dropping that big pot over to his teammate. You never know what happens on rotation. One person might go down. It's good to have loot sparsely kind of allocated between everyone, so everyone has that clutch moment chance.
Double minigun is going to start cooking here as they have a player on the run. It's going to be Weil who gets taken out of his the screams right there. Unfortunately, in comes a shockwave, and Hadar finds himself in the zone right now. At the cost, of course, of a lot of HP, but there it is. That Elim is converted. Dreamwild falls down, and now Hadar's just got to eat some zone. He's trying to crank his way up this mountain. Such a weird spot to be in. There's a player right underneath him. I wonder if he's going to turn around and try and catch this free pick right here. No, he's just more worried about defense. There it is. Little offensive play right there. Can he connect? No, he's going to get taken out. Gets dropped real quick. Now hopping over to Xanthus, Zephyr, and others. You can see just from a nice aerial view of the rotation these players have to make, the struggle that they have going up and over the mountain, and now through what might be the best terrain right here. It's kind of flat. This is where you want to be.
This is where you want to be if you're on the front side of that zone. But anyone at the back on the blue line, once people get based up and realize once Fahad is done drinking these shields, they're going to look straight back for all those elims to come pouring and funneling through. So yes, it's amazing to have flat land if you are in that advantageous position.
FHD does pop the launch pad right there, and out they go floating. kind of an early launch pad as well, just to go and battle for the high ground. So this is that zone wave 6 we talk about, going for the high ground nice and early here. He's cooking that minigun right now, trying to see what he can do. Little does you know, there is another team up high. There it is. This player has been spotted, melts him right out the sky. Wild Gamer here goes straight down, and the high ground is the power trios. Once again here, the minigun's just a perfect situation. They're just chopping players down. This is just too easy for him at this point.
Yeah, but split solo as well. He doesn't have to worry about his teammates getting in the way at all. It's free reign for Hod right now. Even if he does get knocked down due to low mats, it's the only thing I can see that can stop his reign right now, but his teammates can cover that as well. He's going to keep minigunning down. The shockwave is the perfect thing for him too. Getting people down to white tags, has the shotgun to switch over to as well. Yonks up top, looks like he actually bit off more than he could chew. The Hod goes down. These guys still have so many elims right now. 6 with more to come. The zone is just flipping back. Looks like they have an advantage to hold back the whole zone from height as well on hard mats. Shockwaves are the only thing that can stop them from this position.
And the reason it really works out for them, minigun, high ground, in this situation specifically, is because it went right over low terrain. Everything dipped, so everyone's floating on weak builds, weak wood. When the minigun comes chopping, it's taking all that resource, all that material with it, and all these players were just thrown down to low ground. It's hard to defend at that point because you have to block what's coming up from above. You have to protect your floor plank below you. You can see there, he's gonna actually use a shockwave. That's actually really odd. He throws a player out to the zone. You see for a second there, the lining did show someone in the storm, so it was successful. And there it is, someone goes down, but Yonk's still at it. He's looking for the shotgun shot right here. And they're just gonna win. They're just gonna hold players out. I guess the shockwaves, kicking them to the zone was worth. It kind of all went in their favor, huh?
Yeah, it was a very unique ending right there, very casual. They straight up started doing weird edits on height at the end. Absolutely no respect. We're going to be throwing it over to Sundown to break down more of what we saw in this heat and more. Sundown, what you got?
What I got is some more highlights from the early and mid, and then a great display of the power trio holding the high ground and kind of putting what I said a little bit to shame in the last analysis. They were able to stick together as a duo and run out the rest of the lobby, showing that teamwork and the prevalence and the ability to dominate. So very well played from them. Let's hop on in and see what went down in the match. So first, again, we're hopping on board with Toggle and his trio as they're able to get a knock and then put a great amount of pressure onto them. Stealing the wall on the other side, seeing the chug splashes go down, and just going to work. Boom, knock right there, gets the conversion, and they're able to then find the other opponent inside the shield bubble and reap all of the rewards from that. Now on board with the Alter Ego crew, who is able to find a pinch and then get the knock and seeing the teamwork. So now we'll see it from the other perspective, just the amount of pressure they're putting on, constantly pickaxing, trying to take the wall and trying to not allow the opponents to get away. This is the early aggression that's disciplined through, and you can see Dennis Smith being able to catch the opponent out there. Nasir going down, stuck between a rock and a hard place on the side of the wall, and again, just putting these rifles to work on the backside of the storm and catching people in unfavorable positions. Now you can see Mev picking up Lynn there and able to avoid the trap. And this is a great rotation coming out from Moon, as he's able to land right on the side of the bubble shield, box himself out, and catch a quick edit. You barely even saw him take that shot out, but now he's able to track down and get the loot from that to put his team in a great position. But now on board with the power trio as they just run out the high ground. And I mean, just watch here. Like his ability to track Jiren there, constantly checking his angles, and they were, again, never threatened. We talk about high ground control and being able to work top down and converting it into eliminations. There was a reason these guys were on top in this heat, and it was their ability to execute and finish in the end games. That is back-to-back victory royales running out from the power trio. And again, there's a reason they ran Heat 1. But now we're going to continue with our Middle East coverage. I'm going to hop into the casting booth, and joining me will be the fantastic, as Zeke said, amazing, individual, award-winning Dr. Lupo.
I don't know about all that, but I appreciate it. Thank you, Sundown. We have one game left from Heat 1 in the Middle East, and man, it is coming down to the wire. A lot of really crazy plays, and you were taking a look at everything that we've seen thus far from that last match. The pace at which these players are playing, I think, we've said it before. A number of us have mentioned it. Now that the Middle East has a more localized server to connect to, the level of play is really showing that even they can keep up. So going into potentially the next World Cup, if that's something that's in the future for them, it's going to be interesting to see yet another player base added to the pool of players that play for that. So.
I know, I enjoyed a lot seeing players coming out from India, Saudi Arabia, from Southeast Asia. They're all over the place, but the games are ready, so let's hop onto the battle bus and drop on in to continue our coverage of the Middle East. And again, apologies in terms of those who wanted to watch the European action. We're intending on watching that. Heat 1 did get moved to tomorrow during the same time as